Let's go.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another recorded Zoom interview. This is a special one for me, and it's another one of those where I'm meeting someone for the very first time, literally 3 minutes ago, meeting this young man. Pascal from Switzerland. You're in Bern, in the Bern area. What was the weather like today in Switzerland?
Oof, tell you it's quite cold, but the sun came out. It's not quite snowing yet, but the Christmas markets are
Oh,
open, so
good.
there's plenty of malted wine to try, and yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, viewers, can I talk directly to you just a little bit, and then we'll visit with Pascal today. Last summer, just a few months ago, I was looking at YouTube, suggested videos for me, and the algorithm sent me a brand new video podcast from South Australia, Adelaide, the GeoCo. Holly Cook and Anthony Reed. And I immediately said, hey, these guys are young and vibrant, and it feels like it's totally different. I'm going to try to contact Holly and see if I can get her on and talk to her. And that happened back in July. And it was really fun to connect with her. Same thing here. I was on Instagram 6 days ago, and I ran into this illustration on a Instagram channel called Geoscopy. And I'm like, who is this? This is an abduction, beautiful, watercolory looking three-dimensional cartoon or diagram or illustration. I'm like, I don't know who this is, but I want to try to find this person. So I sent an email to Pascal and connected with him, and here he is. So viewers, we're going to learn together about this young man and his talent and what drives him. So Pascal, let's start with, did you grow up in Switzerland? And I assume you studied geology. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. Swiss, pure and 100%.
Okay.
And I studied here also in Bern.
Okay.
I first actually studied geography
Mm-hmm.
and took geology as a minor. And while I was studying, I realized that all the professors in geology, the few classes I had, they were very, very passionate about their topic and what they taught, sedimentology, plate tectonics, volcanology. And at the beginning, it was just something I was interested about,
Yeah.
but I thought, yeah, it's in the end, it's just rocks, how complex can it be? It's just gray rocks.
Right. Right.
And I then decided to change my major to geology. And yeah, 5 years later, I'm here with a master's degree
Okay.
and the passion for all things geology related. And I'm really excited to share it with the world, to show why it's such an underrepresented field and what makes it awesome.
Well, that's the part of this that interests me. So what you just described in your personal journey is similar to many students, of course, around the world. They kind of stumble into geology. They're like, wow, this is totally different. And everybody seems to be so excited about this. The professors, the students, we're out in the field, we're doing all sorts of fun stuff. So that part seems common and familiar to me. But the fact that you then kick it up a notch and decide, I want to share this geology in many different forms online, that's not a common thing. And there must be some art or do you make the graphics? I assume you make the graphics.
Yes. So the graphics, I create them in different ways. I know it's controversial, but I'm also using AI in some cases to generate some illustrations or text.
Cool.
But I always pay attention to the fact that the illustrations are correct.
Yeah.
And I don't use AI for every type of post. I always double check it.
Okay.
So I would say maybe 40% of it, if I want to, let's say if I don't find a good illustration from I try to use many research papers and then quote them in the pictures or in the post. But sometimes, and this is the thing about geology, it's a very visual science.
Yes.
which makes it very good for, to share it on different social media or YouTube. But sometimes it's difficult to convey it if you have, let's say, a topic that's very cutting edge, very new.
Right.
And you have maybe a handful of papers that cite it and also maybe 4 illustrations. And in that case, I try to, you can insert an existing picture, for example, and you can say, okay, show it from a different angle, or can you zoom in into this? And this, I think, is really practical. Otherwise, I use a software or an online tool called Canva, where I take different pictures and illustrations and put them together in a way that I can just convey a message in a very, it depends on the format, very short form.
Well, you have talent for sure, and you must have had some art training or graphics training to go along with the geology, or are you just totally just kind of learning on your own and kind of following your own instincts? Was there training involved with this visual presentation?
Yeah, so I used to have a YouTube channel back in the day where I'm actually I used to be quite fascinated about cinematography and filmmaking.
Right, okay.
It was a big passion of mine also to watch movies, and I was fascinated in ways that, I don't know, Wes Anderson or Stanley Kubrick, I mean, I would never compare myself to them, but how they tried to just convey a feeling, or a lot of times they showed and they did not tell you in storytelling. And geology, what I try to do here with the Science Communication channel is also a conversation. So it's I try to tell the story of this rock or of this landscape, of this process. And I started doing some short form videos and was really also inspired by many filmmakers that do the same in physics or other science that are well represented on YouTube. But basically, I started off maybe 10 years ago with a friend doing short form videos, posted them in YouTube. Yeah. Really enjoyed the process of editing. And now they're deleted because we looked back at it and we like it. But, you grow up and you have a phase where you don't want to see certain things anymore.
Yeah, well, you're a perfect example of how things have changed. I'm an old guy now, Pascal. I'm 63 years old. So I had kind of interests in doing what you just described back in the 1980s, even in the 1990s, when I was more your age, basically. But there was no outlet. There was no way to do it. There was no internet. There was no social media. And what were your options? Like, you write an article in the newspaper, or you somehow knock on the door of a television channel and try to talk your way in that. But there were just a precious few number of ways to communicate this stuff, and that's why National Geographic and others were so popular back in the day. So I am older, but could see the power of YouTube and the fact that we could all create whatever we wanted and get it out there. And if it's of some quality, then it can be shared and word of mouth and all of that. And you're taking it to the next level, it feels like to me. I have no knowledge of AI and that sort of thing. But I think we should go to the website. If you can take us there and give us a little tour, and maybe occasionally I'll butt in, but I'd love to do this. And viewers, if you're curious now of this amazing channel, look down below right now. There's links for the website, the Instagram page, and everything else. So Pascal, please, would you mind sharing your screen, and let's just see what we do here for the next few minutes. But we need to get to some of this beautiful work. And then we'll get to the whiteboard and the stuff you have on the wall behind you. I'm curious now what that's about, but let's go to this website first.
Okay.
How did you pick this name for your website?
Yes, so geoscopy means to examine, is apparently a very old term that is not really being used anymore, but it means to inspect or to inquire about the Earth.
Hmm.
And this is what I do, what I did as a kid. I found a rock, I collected different shiny or glittering minerals that I found.
Yeah.
And back then, of course, I didn't know, it's quartz, it's a mica, it's a feldspar,
Sure.
etc.
Yeah.
I just knew, okay, it looks amazing. I want to keep it, and now I can share the story about this. I can examine it. I have learned about fin sections, about the processes that created this rock. I know how I can find gold, how diamonds are created,
Yes.
and basically every rock has a story that can be told. Every landscape has a history, and also when I just go hiking into the mountains, I see the world in a different light, in a different perspective.
You're speaking my language for sure. Absolutely.
So
I see. Yeah, we can go wherever you want here on this site. I see that beginner's guide to rock identification. I mean, however you'd like to go, but let's just get a little variety platter about what you've got to offer here at this site.
yeah, we can start with a little fun article that I thought was really fun to make.
Uh-huh.
It's many people they know geologists as we lick rocks to discover their properties or to know which one it is.
Yes.
And I thought this was just a really fun take on it because actually turns out each of us is eating rocks every day.
Yeah.
But we have a little plate of spaghetti, we put halite on it,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
then it's just perfect. So this is an article I wrote on this website. I have different types of content. So this is an article where I do a deep dive into a specific topic.
Yes.
These illustrations I made myself also.
Mm-hmm.
And here, just for example, I explain, okay, these rocks, how would they taste if you lick them?
Yeah.
Which one should you really not lick? I mean, for example, arsenic minerals, they're not really good for the body and to ingest them. So, or I don't know, uranium,
Yeah.
please avoid it if possible. So yeah, I like to write little texts and then add illustrations to it. This was just one example. Another article that I'm proud of is here on the website you can discover different medias.
Yes. Yes.
So right now we go onto the blog. Yes, so here I wrote an article about how fossils, how they form.
Mm.
I mean, it seems like it starts with a basic question, that maybe every kid might have.
Mm-hmm.
But what are actually the processes behind it? And here I also show examples of a fossil fish from the Eocene and how it's being decomposed, how you see certain parts that have been fossilized in the process, and which parts remain in the end, which parts are imprinted into the rock. Also plants and ancient what do you call it, tribalites?
Yes. Yeah. Trilobite. Yes.
Yeah. Also.
So can I interrupt for just a second and ask? Yeah, I'm intrigued by this AI, which I didn't expect you to say at all at the beginning. So I'm thinking like, how much of this is you and how much of this is AI? Do you feel like you want to comment on that? What is your creative process here? And then we'll go beyond that.
Yeah, sure. I know that the use of AI it's very difficult, and I think So first of all the articles here, they have been written by me.
Okay.
But what I do is many people they use Google Scholar to research information
Yeah.
or to find certain ideas. And for this, I use AI to find, okay, what articles could I use, or
Hmm.
what what are the newest discoveries in geology of this year. For example, I wrote an article about the top discoveries 2025 in geology that have been most important. And the process for many people, or it used to be for me too, is to find articles that wrote about it already, or to find it mentioned on National Geographic or other places. So I use AI to aggregate this info, to summarize the links, and then I use this as a base to write the articles.
Would you mind stopping your share for a second, Pascal?
Yeah.
This feels, this is totally unexpected, but I'm very interested in this, and we'll come back to your site in just a second. But let's get the two heads. Yeah, back. Thank you. So I think I'm just starting to realize by talking to you that each time any of us in geology, let's say, put something out on the internet, it's being used beyond what I imagine it's being used as. For instance, I do a live stream tomorrow, and I put that on there, and okay, so maybe 10,000 people will watch it in replay over the next couple of weeks or something. And that's the end of what I think exists. But I have started to get people who are emailing me AI recaps of what I just frickin' did 2 hours ago or something. And I'm like, what is this? I'm old enough to did somebody type all this out to summarize what I just did? So are you conscious of that when you make a post, it's adding to this, whatever the words are, to this bulk set of knowledge that then is going to be used by others and used by AI itself?
Yeah, so this is so I like AI for these reasons, to find information.
Yeah.
But where I think we have to be careful,
Yes.
and it will be a big issue in the future, is that AI basically scraps the entire internet, and it can regenerate content that doesn't, how can I say, it steals content, and it can remix this in its own way.
Yes.
And for example, a friend of mine really likes to draw, and she puts the pictures on Instagram and other places, and she hates AI for the image generation features. So basically it will scan also Instagram and other pages, and then it can recreate an image based on what she drew. So this is a bit cannibalism of what is being shared, and I think this is really a pity. And also, I feel the same way about the way we should be conscious and careful about using it for science communication and for explanations. Also, I think it's a tool to do research, and also to generate something that might look good. But we have to take it with a grain of salt. We have to, in the end, we have to write our own tweets or our own articles, which I'm doing here. And also with the illustrations, if we take them, and it's obviously, I don't know, we cannot take an image that exists from an article and just ask AI to recreate it, and then, that's my own image.
Right.
That doesn't work like this. So maybe you can upscale it a bit, but you should always quote the original source and creator. That's very important.
So I'm so pleased to be able to get a chance to visit with you. I have no idea how popular your site is. It's probably way more popular than I realized. So the fact that you're taking time to visit with me, I appreciate it, number one. Number two, what drew me to you were the illustrations. And until 10 minutes ago, I assume you were laboring away to make these illustrations. Am I hearing that abduction graphic or some continent versus continent origin illustration was generated by AI or you?
In parts by AI,
Wow.
and in parts I put it together.
I see. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, one more, and then let's go back to the website. What is driving you to do this? And you're not alone. There's plenty of science communicators now who are enjoying cranking this stuff out. Quite often, I feel like there's kind of a shelf life. Like eventually, the novelty wears off, and you're like, I don't know. This sounds like it feels like a job now. Like I'm just keep cranking this stuff out. Are people even enjoying what I'm doing? Kind of a thing. So what in your geology training, at what point did you say, hey, I want to try to like put a lot of energy into trying this and getting it out there in a big way? When and why did that thinking start for you?
So I realized that there are many science communication channels about physics, about virtually any topic, biology, that mainly on YouTube, that communicate the topic in a very interesting way. And, also with this pop culture aspect that makes it interesting and relatable. And I realized that geology was not really being covered. I could not find the same thing for earth science.
Yes.
And I found very few sources, like, for example, your lectures, they're very good.
Thank you.
And they're also very nice in the evening just to listen to it and to get an idea about a process, and to have a coffee or a glass of wine to it, and just have a little geology lecture.
Good.
I think now it's changing a bit. There are many more science communicators about geology.
Yes.
But I realized, it's a pity, because many people the way I told it before, I did not really know about geology when I started uni.
Yeah.
And I then got to know it firsthand, had the lectures, had the professors, they were so passionate about it. And then I understood why that was the case. But I know for many people, they never come into contact with geology. They never think of it.
It
doesn't cross their mind.
I thought that was an American thing, but maybe it's a worldwide thing. The people are just, every geologist I know falls into it by accident, usually at the university level. Like, you would think that this is the most attractive and interesting science. Well, it is, with like 7-year-old boys and girls or something collecting fossils or something, but then it just evaporates somehow. Anyway, I find that interesting that in your world as well, it just feels like it's stumbling into our world by accident, and you're trying to change that. That's great. Before we go back to your website, what do you got over your shoulders there?
Yeah, so I got creative a little bit.
Nice.
And this is supposed to be a fin section.
Yeah.
It has been some years since my last microscopy class. So I don't want to use any wrong terms, but looks like plagioclase, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Under plain polarized light or cross-polarized light. Yeah.
Thank you. And I can't quite read what you have over your right shoulder. What's up on the wall there?
Yes, so these are just different terms. When people think about geology or the Earth, they think of fossils, volcanoes, glaciers, the landscape, geochemistry. These are just, how can I say, also on my website, many topics, and that shows the variety of geology. You can be interested more into the chemical part of it, into the physical processes, seismology, or about rocks and minerals, the properties, oil and gas. There are many different fields. Or you can become someone that wants to find, that works with fossils as a paleontologist, and also prepares them for a museum. So it's really a science that has a bit of something for everyone,
Yes.
and that was what was also what drew me into it. You can, and in the end, when you go on to holidays to Hawaii, you realize, oh, I'm actually at a hotspot volcanism is taking place here. Or you go into the mountains and you realize, oh, this was the orogeny that formed it many millions of years ago. The same with, I mean, if I tell people that on Mount Everest you can find fossil sea creature fossils, it's kind of mind blowing, but it shows how the Earth has evolved over a long period of time and how we can perceive this every day. These are just some
Yeah.
words that associate with it.
Well, chatting with you now, I'm thinking about when I started making short videos for YouTube, and I was just making them with a friend of mine who was not a geologist. He was an amateur photographer. He was about my age, and we were just doing things in Eastern Washington, and I had a little red bow tie on and everything, and they were short. The thought back then was if you make videos, make them short. There's not going to be much attention span, so just make it short. And he, way more than me, was trying to make things that were as popular as possible. Like there was no money involved, but I never did totally get why he was so interested in doing it, but he was just trying to figure out the formula. Like if we do this, then it's going to be really popular in schools or something else. And I kept saying, I just want to make it. I don't want to guess who's out there. I just want to make it because it's fun making it. Are you thinking of schools or any particular audience out there that you're trying to communicate with, or are you just putting stuff out that's as well-rounded as possible as you were just describing geology?
The next question, yeah, who are you doing
Who are you
this
dancing for? Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think there are different ways to see it. So there are many processes or geologists are interested into knowing very detailed explanations of, okay, how does this work? Why does gold form? What is the chemical reaction or processes that take place? And they want to have it in a very accurate and understandable way.
Yeah.
And I get that if you know a bit about geology, then a lot of the terms are known. You don't have to start from zero, and you want to get a bit more into the nitty-gritty into the cutting edge questions are being asked. But to outside people, it can feel very inaccessible because you're using terms and language and you're assuming a base knowledge of understanding concepts,
right,
that maybe they're basic to a third year geology student, but just to someone who wants to know, why does this happen? You have to present it in a different way. So I think maybe this is what your colleague meant with making it popular. I think you have to make it as clear and practical as possible without dumbing it down.
Yeah, that's important.
And this is what I try to do with my posts, with my YouTube, and I'm also active on other social media. There are different ways to convey it, in written form or in video form, but you have to find a way to explain something in a fashion that can make just a person an enthusiast, engaged into the topic, and that also makes another person that knows a bit more about it interact with it. So geology has to be open. It shouldn't feel dry,
Yeah.
But it's very, now that I'm describing it, it's very difficult to strike a balance that satisfies everyone, of course.
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah, and that's what ultimately gets me back to me just going, I just want to do my own thing. I want to please myself. I want to be proud of it, and that's good enough for me. Because
it also happens to me that I posted a video about erosion, and I thought it was a well-researched video that had it has had a basic explanation, but also a bit more detailed. But of course, you can forget something, or you can sometimes if you explain a concept and you do it in a more simplified way, you risk to miss the nuance of it, and then it's not wrong, but if you really go into detail, it's not as simple as you
Right.
put it.
Right. Yeah.
And I got comments about that
Of
on my
course.
YouTube.
Of course. Yeah.
I also get it on Instagram posts where, yeah, i- if you would put it into how can I say, if you would really be a PhD and work with this every day, if you would do your thesis about it, then of course you would have to need to explain with this level of detail. But what I try to do is I try to make it as understandable and clear to everyone as possible. If and in the end, if I'm happy and proud about it, then I can live with any backlash or criticism.
Well, it's there. It's always going to be there, but you are doing really, really good work. Let's go to the website one more time, Bosco. Maybe show
Sure.
one more aspect of what's available for the viewers, and then that's probably enough for today. It's late there.
Sure. So what I want to say is that I will upgrade the website with other features. So what I want to have in the future is a geological timeline where
Oh,
people can scroll
yeah.
and go through it.
Okay.
Um, Currently, what I have, which I think is really cool, is a library of rocks and minerals
Oh,
where
yeah. Good.
you can sort them by type of mineral. You can go into more detail, and here also the sources for further reading. I try to link back where I found the information. Then, which I think might be practical for, I guess, geology students, but also just novice,
Yeah.
is a glossary of geological terms that you can sort by letter. So I don't have every word
Huh.
that appears in the geological alphabet, but I'm getting there.
Is this just you doing all this, or do you have a team of people now that are contributing?
No, this is entirely me.
Wow.
I set up the website. I'm setting up the content. It took me 2 years to get this website running, so it's quite new.
I believe it. I believe it. Look at all this work. Yes. I mean,
Yeah, so
yeah,
here you can find about vent moraines, evaporites. You get a little explanation,
sure.
and yeah, as mentioned, always the reference,
Daryl Cowan. Yeah.
which so it's scientifically
Hmm.
sound, and I'm not telling any non-fact checked information. I don't know, magma,
Yeah.
mantle convection. Yeah, so I will also upgrade a bit the illustrations if I find better ones. If and that's where again maybe AI will into play if there's an aspect I want to show of a specific process and there doesn't exist really a great image or illustration.
Mm-hmm.
I might use it to generate something that is accurate but new, or I make the illustration myself.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
also something.
Well, good. Anything else you wanted to
Yes.
share before we go back to wrap this one up?
Um,
You got videos. You've got.
yes, you can. It's a big library of information, and just feel free to dig through it, to read deep dives or
Nice.
watch videos. I think science communication, geology science com, it can happen in many forms and medias. So written, video in this interview, or on Instagram where illustrations and text goes together. So just enjoy.
Yeah.
Some people they prefer videos or the one to the other. I just hope that I can give a little taste of geology to everyone.
Well, they will definitely enjoy it. I know many of the viewers have gone there already as they're listening to this conversation and are zooming around in another window. And a little personal request. I don't know. You probably get a lot of requests, but before we hit record, I mentioned that all of my people are from Canton Glarus, a little tiny town at the end of the road called Elm. And you mentioned you know Glarus. Can you share with everyone what that famous geology feature is in my little old hometown? And might you be featuring it at some point down the road?
Okay, wait, let me find a great picture.
Oh,
If you want.
we can have AI generate something right now for us. Just kidding.
No, I tried to remember what the name was.
Oh,
I know
am I putting
you
you on
have
the spot? Yeah, I'm aware of a major thrust fault called the Glarus thrust, and where you've got old rock being shut
yeah.
down. Yes, and
I had the German name
oh,
in
okay,
mind. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Basically, where you find you have a darker rock layer over a lighter one, and this was basically the proof for plate tectonics and for the basically that the different layers have been folded over one another, because usually you have this formation that, or I think back then you had the assumption that the layers that are on top, they are the newest ones, and the ones that are below, they get older.
Yes,
But in that case, it's the other way around. So they
yes.
have been folded onto each other. And yeah, it's a textbook example there. You also have a little hole in this thrust in some part of it. It's called the Martin's hole.
Okay.
And I think once, 1 week or one day during the year, the sun goes through it perfectly, and then you
Oh,
can take a very nice picture of
I
it.
have heard that. Yes. So that's a sunshine version of the story. And then the thing that's tragic that's in my family history is after Nicholas Zentner came over from Elm, Switzerland to North America in the 1860s. And then I think in the 1880s, there was a tragic rock slide, and some of my relatives were killed in that slide. And so that
Yeah.
geology is so important. I think it's a World Heritage Site or something. I need to get over there and see it. But anyway, if you do a little post on something related to that, I would love to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a little note.
yeah.
In Switzerland, we have a lot of that you mentioned it with the rockfall, and I don't know if you heard it. It was also in the news, but maybe not all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a village in Switzerland called Blatten
Mm-hmm.
that I think was last year or a bit longer than that. Basically, almost the entire mountain came down, and geologists knew that this would happen, so they evacuated uh, the area, and many people left. There were some people, they lived there for many decades and had many difficulties leaving their house, and they said,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
if it happens, then I just die here.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you can Google it, if you look at pictures of Blatten today, the entire village has been filled with debris, with big boulders, big and small rocks and fragments of the mountain that came down.
Mm.
So we have a big problem also with natural hazards here, and it's also something that's happening with climate change.
Yes.
Which is why I think knowing about geology is very important, to make people aware that this is happening and why it's happening. So
Well, you're doing a great job. I hope you just keep rolling with that. I mean, sometimes you just eventually burn out, but it feels like that you're just going full blast, and it's so wonderful to see. So thank you for your time, Pascal, this evening. I'm going to stop the recording, and please stay here, and we'll chat for a couple more minutes when I stop the
for sure.
recording. But thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks a lot, Tunik.